Hello, everyone. This is the first of a few talks on Banking 101. Given the interesting times that we've been living, the failure of Silicon Valley banks and other banks, I've been approached by friends to produce simple talks on why banks exist, how could bank runs happen, and kind of shed light on some of the puzzles. And so with that, I'm going to start a very simple talk on how banks came to be. Imagine we are living in a simple economy where there are three people in this economy, Jill, Jack, and Jerry. And all three of them have respective wealth. And let's say that all of them are equally wealthy, so no one is more wealthy than others. And they all have the same problem. They would like to put their money somewhere safe that they can, get back to without any trouble, any question, any worry. And the first thing that comes to mind is, well, I can put it under my mattress, or I can put it in a nice big fat piggy bank. But what you realize is that all of these, solutions are not very safe. Anyone can access it, anyone can reach it, they can break into it, et cetera, et cetera. And so you immediately would reject that. And the moment you reject it, then we're back to the first place. We do have wealth, and we need to put it in a safe place, away from the prying eyes, that we could access it when we want. Well, what if we all could build a very safe vault and somewhere that we know that it's accessible, and we could put all money there, and that way, whenever we want, we can just go in and get our money back. Well, it's almost impossible to think that all of us can agree on, how to do this by ourselves, and then agree, who's going to manage it, and agree on how it's going to be maintained, et cetera, et cetera. So, doing it by ourselves, well, it's a fantastic idea. It's near impossible to get everybody agree on such, a daunting task. But let's say that we're lucky in that there is a person of authority and trust, and let's call her Janice, whose word and actions is accepted by all, who can come along and say, well, I'm going to spend money and effort and time and everything to build this vault and maintain it and manage it and all of that, and you all can come and park your money here. Well, that's a fantastic idea. And of course, Janice goes and, even makes it better in that not only I'm going to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write pieces of paper that says you have this much money in my bank. Well, since everybody trusts Janice and her board is gold, fantastic. I mean, this could be the solution to our conundrum. And everyone's going to be extremely ecstatic that now we're managed to put our money somewhere safe, away from prying eyes. And yet we do have a piece of paper that says this is how much we have. So if we want to show someone, or we want to buy something, we can show people that, look, this is it. This is the evidence from Janice that I have this much. So I am capable of, paying you $1,000 to buy whatever it is that I need to buy. Problem is, Janice can't do this for free, right? I mean, she has to build this very safe vault. She has to maintain it. She has to pay the utilities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So she's going to ask for a fee in return to be able to pay for all of this. Well, if you have to pay for keeping your money safe, your money is going to gradually start to disappear, depending on how big this fee is and how much cost is involved to keep this, safe. Imagine, when you go and park your car in a garage, someone would come and say, well, every day you got to give a piece of your car. We're going to start with lights, and we're going to go for the door, et cetera, et cetera. Long before we get to the end of the month, there's nothing of the car left. So no one's going to be happy with that situation. I can't park it. I love to park my money somewhere safe, but if I do, I know that over time I'm going to lose it. So what's the point? Well, of course, if no one wants this proposition, we're back to where we started. So how can we solve the conundrum? Well, what Janice can do is to change this conundrum. Janice has an idea. And this idea is to, instead of giving just a piece of paper that says you have the money, Janice comes and says, why don't you lend your money to me? And in return, I would issue a piece of paper. Again, I'm Janice. Everybody trusts me. So the piece of paper says, I owe Jill $1,000. All right. So it's Janice owes Jill $1,000. That means Jill has $1,000 and she's given it to Janice. Fantastic. Same thing for everyone else. And since this is now a borrowing lending relationship, Janice can actually pay Jill, Jack, and Jerry something for the trouble of, giving her their money. But since now this money is Janice's money, sure, she borrowed it, but now it's her money. She has to return that money when it's demanded and all of that, but now it's her money. So now that all of that money in the vault, it's actually Janice's money. And Janice gets to do what she seems to be appropriate with that money, which is, well, why don't Janice lend this money to somewhere else? Well, where should she go? Where, to whom should, Janice lend? Well, if Janice is really risk averse and Janice wants to be very safe and not get into, the business of whether I can get my money back and all of that stuff, since she's promising the same exact thing to everybody else, what Janice can do is to lend to someone extremely safe, like US Treasury. Now, the Janice has to be careful to set the rate that she earns higher than the rate that she pays out, because if she can manage to do that, and we're making an example here, for instance, US Treasury is 1.5%, so Janice is offering 1% to everyone else. So how is that going to work out? Well, 1.5% of 3,000 that Janice has in the bank generates $45 of income. Janice has to pay $10 to each of the depositors. That's going to make him really happy. So the total income that comes from this, $3,000 in the bank is 45. The total cost that goes out in terms of interest payments on the deposits that these people gave is $30. That means Janice is now sitting on $15 of profit. This is the magic of banking. We've been able to solve the problem of people parking their money in a safe place, but in such a fashion that they can access it easily on demand without worrying about anything. And this proposition needs to be self-sustained. So we have designed a system with which it can contain and sustain itself. There is an income that comes, there is a interest that gets paid, and then net there is a spread that is healthy enough to pay for Janice's troubles. Now, with that, we can wrap up our discussions, because now we know how banks came about and why do we have banks.